In 41 years on this bench, I have seen just about everything. I have seen the guilty cry innocent and the innocent cry in silence, but every once in a while, on a plain Tuesday morning in Providence, Rhode Island, life puts somebody in front of you that stops time completely. And on March 14th, 2023, a 20-year-old kid named Marcus Delgado walked through that courtroom door and reminded every single person in that room exactly why this job matters more than any paycheck, any title, or any law book ever could. If you believe that justice should have a heartbeat, that a courtroom should be a place of humanity, not just procedure, then you are exactly who I made this for. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what you are about to hear is the most powerful thing I have witnessed in 4 decades behind this bench, and that is not something I say lightly. The morning started the way most Tuesdays start in Providence Municipal Court. My clerk, Danny Ferreira, had the docket on my bench by 8:45. 31 cases, speeding violations, expired registrations, parking tickets. On paper, just another ordinary day. I had my coffee, black, no sugar, always, and I said my quiet prayer before walking out. My father taught me that. He said, "Frank, before you judge anybody, ask God to help you see them the way He does." I have tried to honor that for 41 years. That morning, 2 men walked into my courtroom. One of them reminded me what arrogance looks like when money is standing behind it. The other one reminded me what dignity looks like when it has nothing left but itself. You need to understand both of them, because you cannot fully feel one without the other. Case number C-2023-0314007. Trevor Ashworth III, 23 years old. He walked into my courtroom at 9:17 wearing a Gucci tracksuit, cream, full set, top and bottom, worth more than most people's monthly rent. His sneakers were an off-white limited edition that my granddaughter later told me retails for $1,100. His watch was a Patek Philippe Nautilus in rose gold, which starts at around $80,000. He had a Louis Vuitton document carrier tucked under his arm. He sat down in the defendant's chair, the way someone settles into a reserved table at a fine restaurant, comfortable, unbothered, like this was a minor errand before lunch. Trevor Ashworth III was the only son of Carlton Ashworth II, founder of Ashworth Capital Group, one of the largest private equity firms in New England. The family had a home in Barrington, a condo in Manhattan, and a Newport summer estate, photographed for Architectural Digest in 2019. Trevor himself had 47,000 Instagram followers, a verified blue checkmark, and a lifestyle page full of yachts, private jets, and tasting menus. I did not know all of this at 9:17. I would by 10 o'clock. And his violation was issued March 11th, 2023, at 7:52 p.m. on Elmwood Avenue near Reservoir Avenue in Providence. Officer Sandra Park, badge 3391, clocked him on radar at 87 miles per hour in a 35 zone. That is 52 miles over the limit. Officer Park's report, case file ORI 2023-0311 P3391, noted that his vehicle came within an estimated 6 feet of a 9-year-old girl named Lily Moreau, who was crossing a marked crosswalk with her 71-year-old grandmother, Rose. Rose grabbed Lily and pulled her back at the last second. The child's backpack was clipped. It spun her half around. She fell to the ground. She was not seriously injured, but she was terrified. And Rose Moreau filed a written statement at the scene in her own handwriting saying the driver did not slow down, did not stop, and did not look back. Keep watching, because I haven't even told you what Trevor said when he opened his mouth yet. And that is where this morning took a turn nobody in that room was ready for. When Trevor Ashworth III stood at my bench, I asked him how he responded to the citation. He looked at me with the flat patience of a man waiting for a cab. He said, "Your Honor, my attorney submitted a motion this morning." He slid a folded document across the clerk's desk like he was leaving a hotel tip. His attorney, Philip Greer from Greer, Holt and Associates in Boston, $450 an hour, had filed a motion to suppress Officer Park's radar evidence on a technical calibration ground, a legal maneuver, not an honest one. I set it aside and called Officer Park to testify. That was when Trevor Ashworth III made his first real mistake. He leaned toward his attorney and said, I heard him clearly. My courtroom is not large. He said, Is there a better judge available? This is going to take all morning. The room went still. Danny looked up. The two officers in the back row looked at each other. A woman in the gallery pressed her hand over her mouth. I let the silence hold for 5 seconds. Then I said very calmly, You are in my courtroom, sir. There is no other judge available. Please sit down. Officer Park testified clearly and professionally. She described her patrol route, her radar unit number VP441, calibrated March 1st, 10 days before the incident. She described the child, the grandmother, the backpack spinning off Lily's shoulder, the driver who never stopped. I watched Trevor while she spoke. He was on his phone, under the table, discreetly, but on it. His thumbs were moving. When Officer Park finished, I asked Trevor if he had anything to say. He stood slowly, smoothed his Gucci jacket, and said, Your Honor, I was not going 87. I was going maybe 60. And honestly, I did not see any child. I would have stopped if I had seen her. 60 and a 35. Said like a reasonable position. Said like the number made a moral difference when a 9-year-old girl was on the ground. Then Danny passed me a folded note, handed to him by Officer James Tully, badge 2204, court security. It said, Judge, check his Instagram. He posted 20 minutes ago, court case hashtag. I paused proceedings and asked Officer Tully to pull it up on the court display tablet. What appeared on that screen, posted at 9:04 a.m., 13 minutes before Trevor sat down in my courtroom, was a photo of him sitting in his car outside Providence Municipal Court. Gucci outfit, Louis Vuitton bag on the passenger seat, big smile, thumbs up. The caption read, and I am quoting exactly, speeding ticket court date today, LOL. Dad already handled it. Back home by noon. Providence rather blessed, Judge Noon. Dad already handled it. The hashtag was Judge Noon, Judge no one, as in no judge in this building is going to touch me. The courtroom made a sound, not a word, an exhale, the kind of exhale a room makes when something confirms a suspicion that everyone already had. Now here is the part that went completely sideways for Trevor Ashworth III, but before I tell you, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment right now and tell me, when you see someone walk into a room that armored in money and arrogance, what do you feel? Because what happened next in that courtroom is something every person who has ever felt powerless against that kind of privilege needs to see. Are you still with me? Good. I turned the tablet so Trevor could see his own post. I said, Is this your Instagram account? He looked at it for the first time. His expression changed, just slightly. He said, That is my personal account. Yes. I said, Did you post this today before walking into my courtroom? He looked at his attorney. His attorney said nothing. Then Trevor said, Your Honor, that was just a joke. Social media does not mean anything. I said, It means something to Officer Park, who spent her shift making sure a 9-year-old girl got home safe. It means something to Rose Moreau, whose hands were shaking when she wrote her statement. I put the tablet down. I said, Tell me what Dad already handled it means. He said smoothly, I just meant I had legal representation. Then he did the one thing I tell every defendant never to do. He looked me directly in the eye and said, with just enough of a smile to make it cut, Your Honor, with respect, you seem to be taking this very personally. It is a traffic ticket. Some of us have more important things to get back to. Some of us. I grew up in Federal Hill, Providence, 3-room apartment above a barber shop. I paid my own way through Providence College and Suffolk Law School. I have sat on this bench for 41 years without a family name to trade on. Some of us. In 41 years, those 2 words may be the most arrogant thing I have ever heard spoken in this room, and the gallery knew it. But then, at 9:52 a.m., the courtroom door opened again, and everything changed. A young man walked in wearing a gray hoodie that said Rhode Island State University across the chest. There was a small bleach stain near the pocket. His jeans were clean but worn thin at both knees. He had a backpack on one shoulder, the kind that had seen years of hard use. He was maybe 20. He had deep circles under his eyes, not from a late night out, from days of not sleeping. His eyes were red at the corners. He was holding 2 pieces of paper, 2 parking citations, and he was folding and unfolding them in his hands the way nervous people do. He sat in the back row. He looked at the floor. His name was Marcus Eduardo Delgado. Case numbers P2023-0311-0882, and P2023-0312-0914. 2 parking tickets. Total fines of $230. That was why he came. To every person watching this right now, if you have ever been in a public place trying to hold yourself together with everything you had, and you have ever seen that exact look on someone's face, the look of a person who is keeping it together only because they have no choice, please hit that like button right now. This young man deserves to be seen by every single person who finds this video. Let us make sure that happens. Let me finish Trevor's story first, because it did not end with his smile. While I was reviewing Trevor's file, Officer Tully brought me a second note, this one from the Providence Police Department's Traffic Division. A background check processed when the case was filed turned up 3 prior speeding citations in Massachusetts in 2021 and 2022, all reduced to non-moving violations by the same Boston law firm. Under Rhode Island's reciprocity agreements with Massachusetts, those records were relevant. More than that, Trevor's Rhode Island license had been suspended for 30 days in December 2022 for an unpaid surcharge. The reinstatement paperwork filed in January 2023 had a flagged irregularity at the DMV. It had never been formally resolved. There was reasonable basis to believe that on March 11, 2023, when Trevor Ashworth III drove 87 miles per hour past a 9-year-old girl, he may have been operating on a license that was not fully valid. I referred that matter to the Rhode Island DMV and the State Attorney's Office. Referral number RF 2023-0314-ATY. That was no longer a traffic ticket issue. That was a potential license fraud matter. Trevor's attorney immediately requested a continuance. Trevor leaned over and said something to him in a low voice. His attorney replied quietly, and Trevor went completely still. The comfort left his face. The room had shifted under him, and he knew it. Before I sent his case to referral, I looked at him directly. I said, "Sir, I want you to understand something clearly. No amount of money, no family name, and no firm in Boston changes what happened on Elmwood Avenue on March 11th. A 9-year-old girl fell to the ground. Her grandmother's hands were shaking. That is real. Those are people. This court does not have a different set of standards for different bank accounts. I suspended his license effective immediately pending the DMV investigation, imposed the maximum allowable fine of $1,200, and mandated 40 hours of community service at the Providence Safe Routes to School program, the program that teaches children pedestrian safety in exactly the kinds of neighborhoods where he nearly took one out. He walked out at 10:01 a.m., Louis Vuitton bag still under his arm, but something about the way he was carrying it was different. The weight had shifted. Good. At 10:04 a.m., I called case numbers P2023-0311-0882 and P2023-0312-0914. Marcus Eduardo Delgado. He stood up from the back row. He walked to the front slowly, like every step cost him something. He set his backpack down and gripped the rail in front of the defendant's stand with both hands. His knuckles were white. I said, "Good morning, Mr. Delgado." He said, barely above a whisper, "Good morning, sir." 2 words. That was all. But something about those 2 words made Danny stop writing, made Officer Tully go still, made the last few people in the gallery go quiet without knowing why. I looked at his file. 2 parking tickets, March 11th and 12th, both issued late at night on Dudley Street, outside the rear entrance of Rhode Island Hospital, both in a no-stopping zone, citations issued by Officer Raymond Castillo, Badge 4471, Night Patrol Unit 7. I said, "Mr. Delgado, you were cited twice for parking in a no-stopping zone outside Rhode Island Hospital. Can you tell me what you were doing there at those hours?" He looked at me. He opened his mouth, he closed it, he looked down at the rail. Then he said, "Sir, my father was in the hospital." His voice broke on the word father. Not dramatically, not for effect. It just broke. The way a voice breaks when someone has been holding something together for 4 days straight and one word undoes the seam for just a second. He pressed his lips together. He kept going. He said, "My father had a heart attack. On March 11th, I got the call at 11:19 p.m. I drove straight to the hospital. The parking garage was full. I parked on Dudley Street. I know I was not supposed to. I just needed to get inside. He stopped. I said, "Take your time, son." He nodded. He said my father was Eduardo Delgado. He was 54 years old. He worked as a facilities maintenance supervisor at Providence Hospital for 22 years, never missed a shift. He used to say the hospital could not run without the people nobody sees. He believed that. He was proud of that. He paused. His grip on the rail tightened. He said my father did not have full cardiac coverage. He had the state plan through his union, but there was a gap, a clerical error he had been trying to fix for 8 months. He said, "I am pre-med." I understood every word the cardiologist used when they explained the damage to his heart. Understanding it did not help at all. He stopped. He wiped his eye once, quickly, with the back of his hand, like he was angry at himself for it. He said, "My father died at 4:47 a.m. on March 12th. He said it the way people say things they have been practicing, because you know you are going to have to say it many times in the coming weeks, and you do not want to fall apart every single time." My father died at 4:47 a.m. on March 12th. I sat with my mother in that room until almost 7. Then I went to my car. There was a ticket on the windshield. I looked at it for a long time. Then I drove my mother home. He said, "I went back the next night, March 12th, to get a copy of the death certificate and speak with the billing department about my father's account. The garage was full again. I parked in the same spot. Another ticket." He laid both citations on the clerk's desk. Then he said, "I am not saying the tickets are wrong. Officer Castillo was doing his job. I was parked where I should not have been. I have 2 jobs. I work at a diner on Atwells Avenue from 6 to noon and at a FedEx distribution center from 4 to 10 p.m. I carry a full pre-med course load at Rhode Island State. I can pay the fines. I just wanted to come and explain. I did not want it on my record without at least explaining." He stopped. He straightened up a little. He said, "That is all, sir. Thank you for your time." And then he just stood there, quiet, waiting for whatever came next. No theater, no performance, just a 20-year-old kid who buried his father 4 days ago, working 60 hours a week, carrying a full course load, who drove to that hospital in a panic and parked in the wrong place, and who was so committed to doing the right thing that he gave up time. He did not have to come stand in front of me and tell the truth. In 41 years, I have seen thousands of defendants stand in that exact spot. That young man, with his worn backpack and his bleach-stained hoodie and his 2 parking tickets, was the most dignified person in my courtroom all morning, by a wide margin. I looked at his file. No prior violations, clean record, no attorney, came alone. I said, "Marcus, your father, Eduardo. He believed the hospital could not run without the people nobody sees." Marcus almost smiled. He said it at dinner, sir, a lot. He was never embarrassed about his work. Not once. I said, "And pre-med, is that because of him?" He said, "Yes, sir. He used to say he took care of the building so the doctors could take care of the people. I want to be one of the doctors. I want to finish what he started." I had to take a breath. I looked at that young man for a long moment. Then I said, "Mr. Delgado, I am going to tell you what I see standing in front of me. I see a young man who drove to a hospital in the middle of the night because his father was dying, who sat with his mother through the whole night, who went back the next day to handle the paperwork, the death certificate, the billing, because somebody had to and he was going to make sure it got done right, who is working 2 jobs, who is carrying a full course load, who still came to this courthouse to do the right thing by 2 parking tickets he got while his father was dying 40 feet away." I said, "I'm going to do something this morning, and I want you to understand why. It is not pity. This bench does not deal in pity. It deals in justice, and justice is not a rigid thing. It is a living thing. It breathes, it listens, it looks at the full picture and asks what is actually right, not just what is printed on a citation form. What is right this morning is completely clear to me. Case P 2023-0311-0882, dismissed. Case P 2023-0312-0914, dismissed. Both, no fines, no record, no payment, dismissed in full. The courtroom exhaled, warm this time, completely different from the exhale 10 minutes earlier. Marcus looked at me. He blinked. He said, "Sir?" I said, "Dismissed, son. Both of them." He said, "Thank you, sir. I can still pay." I said, "No. You hold on to that $230. Use it for your books. Use it for your mother. You keep it." He nodded. His jaw was tight. His eyes were full. He was fighting hard and almost winning. Then I did something I do not do every day. I stepped down from my bench. I walked around the clerk's desk and crossed the floor to where Marcus was standing. He went very still. I put my arms around that young man and I held on. I said quietly, right next to his ear, "Your father raised a good man. You honor him every day you show up. Keep going." He put his hand on my arm, and then I heard him exhale, a long, slow, shaking breath, the breath of someone who has been holding everything together for 4 straight days and is finally, just for 1 second, allowed to put it down. He did not sob, he did not crumble, he breathed, then he straightened, he picked up his backpack. He said, "Thank you, sir. I will keep going," and he walked out. The room was silent. Danny, my clerk, 19 years with me, seen everything, was staring at the door Marcus walked through. Officer Tully had his hat in his hands and was looking at the floor. A woman in the back row was crying without making a sound. I walked back to my bench. I sat down. I straightened my papers. I called the next case. But let me tell you what I was thinking up there. I was thinking about my own father, Angelo Caprio. He also worked with his hands. He also worked in spaces where he was not the most visible person. He also raised a son who wanted to do something bigger. And my father believed, not in speeches but in everything he did, that dignity does not come from what you drive or what you wear or whose name is on your family account. Dignity comes from how you show up, from how you stand in the hardest moments, from keeping your word even when nobody is watching. Marcus Delgado kept every word. He drove to that hospital. He stayed all night. He went back the next night. He came to court. He told the truth plainly, without a lawyer, without any manipulation, without a Louis Vuitton bag or a verified Instagram account. And he asked for nothing except to be heard. That is the rarest thing I ever see in this room. And I have been in this room for 41 years. I also want to say something about Eduardo Delgado, a man I never met, a man who spent 22 years maintaining the floors and hallways of a hospital so that other people could heal. A man who told his son at the dinner table that the people nobody sees are the people who make everything possible. A man who raised a boy who is going to become a doctor. Eduardo Delgado was not famous. His name will not be in the newspaper. But that morning, in Courtroom 3 of Providence Municipal Court, his life was louder than anything else in that room. In the contrast between the man who walked in first, with his $80,000 watch and his Instagram hashtag, and the man who walked in second, with his bleach-stained hoodie and his 2 parking tickets and his grief, Eduardo Delgado was the most powerful presence all morning. He raised the better man. There is absolutely no question. To every young person watching this who is in the middle of something impossible right now, working 2 jobs, losing sleep, carrying grief that nobody else can see, trying to do the right thing in a world that does not always make room for it, you are seen. I see you. This courtroom sees you. The work you are doing in the dark, the early shifts, the late studying, the bills paid before you buy yourself anything, the quiet grief you carry every single day, that work is not invisible. Not to me. Not to the people who know how to look. The law is a tool. It is a good tool when it is held with humanity. I have tried for 41 years to hold it that way. Some days I fell short, but on March 14, 2023, when Marcus Delgado walked out of that courtroom carrying less than he walked in with, I knew I had done more than the legal job. I had done the human one. Thank you for watching this all the way through. Truly. You chose to spend this time with a story about a college kid, 2 parking tickets, and an old judge who got down off his bench for a minute. You could have watched anything. You watched this. And that tells me everything about who you are. It tells me you still believe that how we treat each other matters more than what we own. It tells me you still believe that a kid in a worn-out hoodie deserves exactly the same dignity as a kid with a rose gold watch. Share this if it moved you. Not for numbers, no, for Marcus, for Eduardo, For every person who has ever stood in front of a system that felt too big and wondered if anyone was actually paying attention, we are. I promise you we are. Next time, I have a story about a single mother, 3 young children, and a landlord who was about to learn the very hard way that this bench does not look the other way. You do not want to miss that one. I will see you there, and thank you for being here.